Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from fresh perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 299, Honor Your Journey. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host. I'm here today in my home studio, Anderson Studios, as I love to call it. And it is a beautiful day here in Orlando, Florida. I can't believe it, friends. Today is Authentic Spiritual Journey show 299. And today is Monday, March 11th. The title of today's show is Honor Your Journey. Honor Your Journey. And I want to honor some of our friends who may be listening from San Francisco, California. I have friends there, and there has been a lot going on in that city, a lot of changes. And so I just want you to know, I know that you're spiritual souls there. I know that there are wonderful souls there. So I am lifting you up. I am supporting you on the journey, and we are here for you, and we acknowledge you as a part of the Experience of the Soul podcast family, and and a part of us. So we're here for you. If there's a way I can lift you up better, let me know. But we welcome you and we honor you as a part of our family. And welcome all of you to the show today. I can't believe we're almost at show 300. We have a real important announcement next week during the show, and some changes coming, but it's good change. And I'm honored to be a part of it. So that word honor, I've noticed, keeps coming up in the show titles in my life. And I see a real need for it in my own life and world. And I'm hoping you're experiencing that with me. Honor Your Journey, as I said, is today's title. And really, I'm building on last week's theme. And I'll put the link in the show notes of Own Your Power. The truth is, honoring your path and journey is a part of owning your spiritual power and authority. And, as someone who has served as a minister in several communities, and as somebody who, I grew up in church. My godfather was a minister. My grandfather, my great-grandfather were ministers. My mom was a lay minister. So, which is somebody who's not ordained, but can serve as a minister of churches. And she went on mission trips, So what I have seen over the years is that we sometimes give the authority of our journey over to another human being, even if they're a minister or somebody well-meaning. It's really between us and God. And I want to affirm for you that it is important to honor you, to honor your journey, and to know that your journey is yours and only yours. And that feels important to me. It feels important to me. I'll even use the word, it might feel boundaried to me. We have a lot of teachers. We have people help us and support us. And I'm sure many, many people have influenced you. Like if I were to say right now, how many people influence you in your life? I mean, you probably couldn't come up with a number, right? You would say, well, my friends, my family, my ministers, lots of people. Exactly. A lot of people are impacting you. But what you do with that is yours and only yours. The interesting thing that I always come back to in myself, my own journey, is, guess what? Even those people that I felt were against me, even those people that looked like my enemies, these are the people that have truly caused or activated, I'll say, the most growth in me. People that at times felt against me, people that at times seemed like they were non-supportive, those people helped me grow. I have a good friend, though, who's Jewish, I was talking to her one day and I said something to her like, well, I know this is a really difficult situation, but I know I am growing out of it. I'm going to get a blessing out of it somehow. And she looked at me and said, well, one can only handle so much blessing. And I said, I get it. It's true. One can only handle so much blessing. But I have learned to honor those times of growth, those times of, I don't know, what would you call them? Trial. The Bible calls it trials and tribulations. That those situations have perhaps activated the most growth. Yeah. So, honoring your journey is both being present. It is being aware also of the past, not necessarily looking at the past and trying to find something, but being aware that those situations from the past have helped shape who you are. This has been an important one for me as I have, grown and developed spiritually. I can look, even when I look forward, I know that everything that's happened to me has gotten me to this very moment. Everything that has happened to me, for me, with me, has gotten me to this moment. And my response to what has happened. So, I don't want to necessarily credit people who've done me wrong with where I am today, because I could have reacted very differently. I've not always reacted perfectly, but what I'm saying is nobody gets out of life being hard at times. Like if I were to say to a group of people, who would like it if life got easier? And every hand goes up, mine included. I would love for life to get easier. And I think it does really over time. But does anybody get out of growth out of things being tough? Of course not. That's why it's called life. There's an ebb and flow. There are times, though, of ease and plenty. And there are other times of trial, of growth. Even illness can be a part of, our growth and development. Losing a job, a lack of money. These are all loss of relationship. These are all opportunities that none of us would seek out, but they're all opportunities for growth. Like nobody would say, I hope this happens. But when they happen, we have an opportunity to grow. Or we can say, the world is against me. I'm a victim. Why do bad things happen to me? So what I want you to know is, for all of us, life is both hard and easy. It has trial. It has growth. And it is our perspective about what happens that decides our next steps and our journey. In our culture today, I see a lot of blaming. I see a lot of victimhood. And I see a lot of what I'll call placating. My belief is we keep each other limited and small by saying that we are victims to what happened to us, that we're naturally victims because of a color or a race that we are born, that we're victims if we're poor. I would like to change that. I would like to change that in my perspective. Of course, I'd love to see change in the collective, but what I've learned is that when individuals change one by one, that begins to change and shift the collective. That begins to change and shift at the collective level. So, where are you on your journey right now? What I've discovered that helps honor my journey and my path is looking at life through a spiritual lens. Looking at life through a spiritual lens is super, super helpful. How do you know you're looking through life through how do you know you're looking at life through a spiritual lens? If you are feeling like a victim, you're in the ego. If you're feeling like everyone is against you, you are in the ego. Now, when I'm using the word ego, I'm meaning the limited personality self. The limited personality self says, everyone is against me. Why are things not working out for me? Why do bad things happen to me when I'm so good? Why can't people figure it out? These kind of statements are from the limited personality self. How do you know you're looking at life through a spiritual lens? You are understanding that everything that's happening now is to help you grow into the soul you were destined to be. I'm going to say that again. When you're looking at life through a spiritual lens, it becomes apparent very quickly, very, very quickly, that everything that's happening now is helping your soul grow into who you were destined to be. Bottom line. So you say, well, why can't life be easy? Because it's life. I mean, is it ever? Yeah, moments, as I said. But you wouldn't be here on planet Earth if you were only supposed to experience ease. You're here to grow, prosper, and evolve. That's it. When looking at life through a spiritual lens, I'm going to say this a third time, that's on purpose. When I'm looking at life, I'm going to say it for myself. When I'm looking at life through a spiritual lens, it becomes apparent. Everything that is happening now is to help my soul grow into the soul I was destined to be. So you say, well, how do I do that? Well, one of the key ways of doing this is to become an observer of your own self, which sounds simple. It sounds simple. So, and the truth is, I believe everybody can do it. If it's new to you, though, sometimes it takes a while to see life through a spiritual lens because we're taught to source in what other people think of us, including our teachers, our ministers, even our friends. Of course, if they're real friends, we don't have to worry about what they think of us now, do we? But anyway, that's life. That's life, that learning. In our culture today, we are very worried about what everybody thinks of us. I often bring up that, we feel like we have to somehow fundamentally change ourselves to be loved, right? So when you're looking at life through a spiritual lens, that shifts completely because God loves you. Other people of faith love you. And you seek to find communities that support this way of thinking. You say, well, I don't know if I'm there yet. That's all right. You're there to a degree or you wouldn't be listening to the podcast. The people that are drawn to this show are people that are seeking to grow, prosper, and evolve. Yeah. So I want you to think about your life's journey. Think about how you've grown spiritually over the years. And think about those people who've influenced you along the way and see if it isn't true that some of the hardest situations in the moment were very, very difficult. See if you don't see those in a little bit different light as you realize the growth you've made from those situations. Part of the honoring, though, of that journey is not to go, oh, great, I'm so happy this person was very difficult, but is to say, with all the humility in the world, thank you, God, that I chose to grow there. Thank you, God, that I did choose to grow. And if we didn't grow the first time, maybe the second or third or fourth time we were faced with this, we grew. So think about that. So as you start to observe yourself, and I did a whole show, by the way, on the observe yourself, and I'll try to have that link in the show notes as well. That as you begin to observe yourself, it's almost like you are above yourself, watching yourself, so that you're not just in the behavior, but you are noticing, you are experiencing, you're seeing how when you do certain behaviors, you're seeing the impact it has on others. And that is a huge growth opportunity. That's a huge growth point. When you can begin to see that you're part of what you're doing to others, like let's say there's somebody at work and they're getting on your nerves. Every time you see them, you say, oh no, I do not want to run into them again. And you begin observing yourself in the interaction, and you notice before the interaction, you start walling up, you start answering people shortly, you start not wanting to be a team player and collaborate and support, and you become a different person. And so you start to observe that, in fact, you are a part of the problem. When you realize you're part of the problem, you can shift, and sometimes it's tiny, tiny shifts day by day, moment by moment, and you start to see, oh, that's amazing. I had a great interaction with this person. So sometimes, especially in the workplace, we can have ideas about certain people from one or two interactions. And what we don't realize is those ideas translate for us into behaviors. Greg Bear calls them getting and protecting behaviors. In other words, if we feel unheard and unseen, let's say by somebody at the office, we'll start acting out as if we are in a family system. And when we can observe that, when we can see, we can like get outside of ourselves and look at ourselves, observe ourselves and what we're doing, then we have the opportunity to change that. And so it's a very empowering practice. And in fact, it is honoring the journey that you're here to do. You're here to grow as a soul. You're here to be a blessing and to be blessed. You can't possibly do that if you're not observing yourself and trying to grow in new behaviors and in new ways of thinking and being. Seeing through a spiritual lens really puts you in the driver's seat of your life, because it is a tremendous place of power. It's a tremendous place of accountability. It's a tremendous place of authority. When you become the CEO of your own life, you will begin to direct your thoughts, even your feelings and behaviors will start to shift after you realize the profound impact you have on the people around you. It's amazing. And that becomes a living out, like your life literally becomes the living out of honoring your journey and who you were designed to be. When we look out on the world right now, and it's interesting because I asked this the other day. I was in a group with 2 political parties, maybe 3, but for sure 2. And I said to the group, is everybody here happy with the way the world is going politically? If you're happy, raise your hand. And not one person raised their hand. And I said, and do you think the answer to what we're seeing in the world today, not only politically, but crime and everything else, is related to the soul? If you think that's true, raise your hand. And every hand went up. So the world at large, and when I say the world at large, you know what I mean. The world we see covered on the news, and on our phones as we scroll through the feed. What we're being sold is trauma, drama, anger, everybody out for themselves, which is all personality and ego. So there are a lot of people trying to wake up. There are a lot of people seeking to awaken to the soul that they are, to live an awakened life, a godly life. And we're doing that through all different ways. We're doing it by attending church, spiritual retreats, yoga. I mean, why do you think yoga is growing by leaps and bounds in the U.S.? I think it's not just because it's a physical practice, because there's a spiritual component as well that seems to have less personality and dogma and more practice. All right. So think about that. Think about that we are trying to wake up. And so the question for us might be today, well, is there some new way I'm being asked to honor my journey? It might be innately spiritual. It might be something you're supposed to learn to expand your knowledge base and awareness for life, for your job. It might be something you are to do that brings you a lot of joy. Like, one of the things I'm supposed to do to honor my journey is give myself a little space. I need a little more time to reflect. Because of all the people I'm serving right now in the various capacities, I'm realizing I need a little more space to honor myself and my journey. If I'm just giving, and I'm not taking time to replenish, to take a step back, I won't be able to serve. What I'll be teaching through my behaviors is stress and burnout. Even if I'm saying love each other, love is all you need, honor your journey. If I'm not honoring my journey, it's all meaningless. So it's like one of my practices is just going to be giving myself a little more space, a little more time. Like it's really okay. That's the way I need to honor my journey. So I have time to reflect and think. And the truth is, most people that know me probably wouldn't believe this. I love to just sit by a creek and do nothing. I love to look at the water and watch bugs in the water. And I love to walk around in the woods and find rocks and skip them along the surface of a lake. And I do really love to be quiet. So I love that time in that space. So it might seem small to you. To me, that's the way I'm being called to honor my journey right now. So what is it for you this time, right now? Right now. How are you being called to honor your soul? And as I say that, it might be shifting into a new practice of observing yourself more. I mean, it could be something like that is not necessarily something you have to go do and learn. It might be like just shifting perspective a little bit on how you're viewing things. I have just been amazed how that has shifted things for me. Just this slight shift in perspective. It's like, whoa, I see things differently now. I'm more free now. Wow. So how are you being called to honor your journey right now? I said a lot about the observer self. The other thing I want simply to mention is times to pray and be quiet, whether you actually meditate, with some specific practice. My encouragement to you is to have time every single day to make a little time for God, even if you start with just 5 minutes. It's a way to kind of tap in, to the God presence. It's a way to calm your mind and body. And it will help everything if you do this. This may seem funny. I don't know why I'm so guided to share it. I shared it, I think, a couple of years ago that I had some blood work done, and I had my blood pressure taken and everything. And the doctor said, "You have the blood work of a 20-year-old." And I'm in my mid-50s, right? "You have the blood work of a 20-year-old. And I said, "I do?" Well, of course, my diet's been good. My exercise has been good. I've been walking, stuff like that. But my meditation, I said, "My heart's good. My blood pressure's good." "Yeah." She said, "Perfect." And I thought, how interesting. I think of all the siblings in my family, I'm the one that doesn't have like heart or blood pressure problems. And I really think the difference is the meditation, because I've been doing it for so many years. Like every single day brings me back to calm. So if you're not making time yet for just some quiet, do that. Do that. 5 minutes a day. Start there. Whether you're praying or whether you're meditating and listening, either would be good. Really good. And if you're new to doing the observer self idea, to literally observing your own behavior, that quiet time will help you be able to do it, because to observe yourself, you have to be able to quiet part of the mind. If you're so in the emotion, you can't do it. You've got to get out of the emotion and observe. The word is probably dispassionately, with kind of a level of disconnect. Only disconnect may not be the quite the right word, but without being so enmeshed with every feeling, you're like observing yourself feeling it even. And as you do that more and more, it will also help you get a hold of your emotion and not let that run your life as much. But so observe yourself, yes. Meditation and prayer, yes. And those are always working together to bring you back to center, to bring you back to God. Because I believe, friends, wherever you are, God is. I do. So as you're looking at life through the spiritual lens, remember everything that's happening is to help your soul grow into the soul you were destined to be, number one. Also, remember that good and bad, up and down, ease and plenty. To God, these are all equal, because God wants to bring us back to God. So as we go through these changes in life, as we go through these up and downs, if we honor our journey by time every day with God, we will start to see growth, we will start to see prosperity, and we will definitely evolve into the soul we were designed to be. And of course, this is my prayer for you, dear friend. This is why we have done the show for this long. We are supporting you. We are lifting you up. We're seeing you blessed in all ways and in all things. And we believe it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. We honor you. We honor your journey. And we honor that it is yours and only yours. Even though many of us have influenced it, we see that you are the CEO of your own life. You're making great decisions for yourself, and you are moving forward on this journey we call life. So we honor you, we honor your journey, and we thank you for being a part of our family here at the podcast. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Believe it or not, friends, show 300. We have a big announcement next week. We look forward to seeing you then, and blessings on the journey, dear friend.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2024, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.